wonderful people. It's your girl, Miss Donzo, and Kama Kawaida, brought to you by Team Generation Sawa. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you've not subscribed, please make an effort of subscribing and putting the bell notification bell. Guys, today I have a very amazing topic, a topic that most of us live with every single day. It's something that we as human beings encounter, and today I want us to go deep in this topic. It's none other than mental health. We all know that we are going through a lot of mental health challenges, and so today I brought you a special guest at the Team Generation Sour show, and he is a clinician, he's a health worker, a community health worker, and without any further ado, I'll introduce you guys to him. So, hi.
Hi.
Hi, Martin.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Welcome to Team Generation Sour. This is my crowd, and probably you can introduce yourself and tell people more about you. Who are you? And yeah.
All right. My name is Otieno Martin Ongwen. I am a physiotherapist, as you said, a clinician. Okay. So I treat patients on a day-to-day basis, not as frequently as I used to, but I'm an educator as well. So I teach both clinicians, patients, policymakers on matters about health, physical fitness, and mental health as well. So yeah, that is just about what I do on a day-to-day basis.
Wow. So in your field, you've come along people who are dealing with our main topic today, mental health. And guys, this month we are remembering men's mental health. And so yeah, Martin, probably you can tell us one or few things that you know about mental health, and before I start asking you questions, probably you can make our audience understand what is mental health.
All right. A lot of times when people hear about mental health, they think about psychotic disorders, which is mtu amechizi mtaani, unkempt, making noise, probably somebody who looks aggressive.
Oh yeah.
But that's not really the case. Each and every individual goes through a process. As long as you're a human being, there's the process of kind of like conceptualizing mental health or awareness issues, all right? So mental health is a state of well-being where the individual realizes, he or she realizes their own capabilities in terms of work, play, associating with other human beings, but also bringing in or giving meaningful impact to the society. Wow. So that's technically what mental health is. It's not about, you know, somebody mwenye ako madare or anything.
Oh yeah, now that you say that, I remember when I was growing up and somebody will just say anything about mental health. We used to hear mental people used to go to a place called Madare, and up to today, even people, those who don't even know much about mental health, when you just say anything about mental, they directly go, their mind goes to Madare, and so could you make people understand that this mental health thing is not like kuruka kichwa, like kuchizi and all that?
As long as you're a human being, you go through stresses in life.
Oh yes.
Right? By virtue of you being somebody who interacts with the environment that you live in, somebody who interacts with other human beings, there's an element of you processing things in your mind. Both physically as well as just mentally. So there's two aspects to it. So in medicine we tend to have a biomedical model, which is if you have a disease, if you have a fracture, it's broken, we fix it. All right? Yes. That's a biomedical model. Then we have the psychosocial model, where it's what happens when you break your thumb, right? What happens to you as an individual before and after breaking your thumb? What happens to the social environment that you live in?
Yes.
All right. So those are the aspects, you know, economic aspects, educational background. So those are factors that affect your state of well-being, technically.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned also about stress, does this mental health also include small children, or is it only for adults? Because also coming back to where my well-being growing up and all that, I remember people used to say stress is for grown-ups and stress ni ya watu wazima. But being with the work that I do, I've come across so many children, and I can tell that this kid actually has stress. So does mental health also include small kids, or from what age should you start caring about your mental health?
As long as from conception, technically, all right? As long as the baby has already started growing,
yes,
you experience stresses. So as the mother, you host your baby, right?
Yes.
And as the child develops, the moment they start to develop, the brain starts to develop.
Oh yes.
By the time you're reaching 9 months, the baby has got processing of what happens to the mother. So there's what we call the early childhood experiences, and early childhood experiences affect who we are up to 50 years later. All right.
Wow.
So we in mental health we call that adverse childhood experiences, where children who experience probably rape, for example, traumatic experiences, yes, like abusive parents.
Oh yes.
Even physical abuse. A child who's in an environment where one of the parents is a drug addict or an alcohol abuser. All right, so those are factors. Bullying, for example.
Oh yes.
Being jailed at a young age. So I would say from 0, because even in ICU, so children who are born under distress early have to go into ICU, which is called NICU. For children. So those children usually present with mental health issues like anxiety and depression later in life. All right, so I won't say mental health is it's a continuous process of how do I present myself in the society from the moment I'm able to interact with one person to the other.
Yeah, so if you're gonna break down mental health, it's just something that all human beings, including the small children, something that we encounter.
Yes.
And coming from an African background, we know that mental health is a taboo. Most people don't speak about it. You know, the way probably I can have gastritis and I'll tell you, Martin, I'm suffering from this. But if I suffer from mental health, it will be very hard for me to actually express it to people. What can you say about it, coming from an African background?
There's a lot of stigma involved, there's a lot of stigma surrounding mental health.
Yeah.
And where stigma is having a perceived notion or kind of like treating somebody different because of how they present. All right. So a lot of times human beings fear what they don't know and what they can't control, and they have certain standards of what is normal and what is not normal. So it is very hard to see. There are certain diseases that you don't see. All right.
Yeah.
You don't see physically. It's not like a physical disability where you'll see somebody limping or somebody without an arm.
Yeah.
It's more of an internal process. All right. So there's a lot of stigma, especially for men. Men rarely talk about some of the problems that they go through, some of the stresses that they go through.
Yeah. Because men, especially here in Africa, again, I come back with the African root, they believe mwanaume ni kujikaza, quote unquote, like a man has to persevere through everything. But I actually think that we're all equal and we're all allowed to express, break down. It's part of human nature. What can you say about that?
Well, that's difficult, because even myself, I think it all depends on the environment where we've grown in. Myself, I teach people about mental health, hygiene, and awareness. But even I struggle to express my feelings to other people, all right, or to express what I'm going through to other people, because first of all, I'm a clinician. I'm somebody who people come to seek help. So I need to be able to be at my A game in terms of providing access to healthcare, right?
Yes.
So sometimes it's very difficult for men, and I can tell you this. I've been to rooms where male cancer patients are receiving treatment,
yes,
chemotherapy,
yes,
they never talk to one another. They don't have conversations whatsoever. As compared to a room where females are receiving chemotherapy, oh my goodness, their interactions are massive. They're beautiful interactions of, oh, I see you've lost your hair. What are you doing about your hair? Mm-hmm. What type of diet have you adopted to kind of help you through the journey of recovery? As compared to men are just going to be sitting there, even if you call them for like support groups. And we know the importance of having a good support system, right? But men don't subscribe to that, and I guess it's because of how we are brought up, but also of the because of the cultural practices. Jikaza kimwanaume, as they usually say, But that jikaza kimwanaume actually reduces your years of life in general, but also if you have a disease process going on and you're not finding a good support system, you're not talking about it, you're not expressing what's going on, then it becomes a lot more difficult to withhold the pressures that come with it. And you know, no man is an island, right?
Yeah, no man is an island. And you know, guys, they say a problem shared is a problem half solved. And I've actually, even this is something that most women can relate when you're in a relationship with your man. Like, it's very hard to tap in his brain and get to know what's going on in this guy's head. Nini inaendelea kwa kichwa yake. And you will actually even find most of the suicide cases that are happening right now, even statistics about it, it's majority actually men. And I also think it's because they don't talk and they don't say. What can you tell the men who are watching you, the men audience who are watching you? Because this thing is getting real.
Yeah, it's okay to talk about what's going on. It's okay to express your fears as a man.
Yes.
It's okay to share your problems with other individuals. Of course, you know, sometimes in Africa, people tend to enjoy it when you have problems, right? You feel that you're in a safe space, but you're not necessarily in a safe space.
Yeah.
So finding that social support system, because in Kenya today, there are, you know, social media pages, Instagram pages, Facebook pages, Twitter pages or Twitter handles that are talking about mental health or providing some sort of support system for men to really speak up, all right? It's easier for females to speak up when they've had a rape encounter as compared to a man speaking up when they've had a rape encounter. All right?
And it happens.
It does happen.
Men get raped.
A lot, yeah. And it's important that, you know, we are not afraid to share our experiences. I realized the whole process of me being free and conversing with my patients came when I became vulnerable. So I became a lot more vulnerable to my patients, a lot more vulnerable to the people around me, and that made life a little bit easier. Life is made easier by you sharing, all right? So I usually have I have the notion of we're around 44 different tribes in Kenya, all right?
Yeah.
That is 44 solutions to one problem, all right?
Yeah.
So if we gang up and pick among the 44 solutions, which are the best top solutions that we can provide to that one particular problem. And if we pick the top 3, then we have a problem solved. So the same way, I would like to urge the men outside there to come out a lot more and talk about what they're going through on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
Okay? Rather than let things build up. You know?
Like you see, for instance, for me personally, I don't go to a therapist and sit down. You know, also mental health is very expensive, and you'll find somebody is like, I go to see a therapist, they probably charge me $20 or $30 an hour, and that money I could have done something else with it. And so for me, what I do, and you know, in this day-to-day life, you come across different people, like probably I'll use an Uber to reach to point A to point B. Yeah. And when I'm just there, I know that this person I've requested, I won't see them again. And if there's something that is actually itching me up, I talk about it and I'll be like, oh, leo boyfriend yangu amenikosea, what should I do? And actually, it actually works because you'll listen in a different point of view, a different thinking that you actually did not have, and it actually works. So yeah, I think guys, just talking about this thing, just talk even to people you don't know, because as you said, Africans, we're very bad. Like we are happy, like when somebody hears that like you have a problem, it's their happiness, or they'll just start blowing news. They'll start telling your gazettes, Leo so and so, you know, and it's sad, guys. It's sad. And so before we continue, I'd written down a couple of things that I had questions, and I know my audience also have questions. Yeah. And the first one is, which conditions need mental health? All right. At what point will you sit down and say, wow, I need mental health awareness?
All right. So I like to talk about prevention a lot of times.
Oh, prevent.
So
okay.
let's first of all talk about how can we prevent us from getting depression. Because depression, once you start getting depressed, all right? And depression is a disease that builds up gradually. It just doesn't come out all of a sudden. And there's a lot of factors that adds up to one person being depressed. So we have depression, we have anxiety disorders, we have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, ADHD, all right?
Yeah.
So those are some of the clinical, you know, and we have what we call depression in itself, but we also have clinical depression, where you need to see counselor or somebody who's specialized in addressing mental health problems, all right? Or a psychologist or a clinical psychologist. So before it gets to that extent, you know, there's usually like a questionnaire that we use in most institutions that deal with mental health issues. It's the PHQ-9,
yeah,
where it's an abbreviation of a personal health questionnaire, where you asked, are you depressed? That's the first question. All right. But usually, if you ask an African,
people are in denial. No, I'm not depressed. I'm just stressed.
If you ask an African if they're depressed, then it's an automatic no. It's no, I'm not depressed. Why are you asking me that? Do you think I'm mentally ill? Right?
Yeah. They take offense.
Yes. All right. And then the second question is, we start asking you, are there certain things in life that you used to enjoy doing that you're finding that you don't enjoy doing anymore? And a lot of times in clinic, whenever I ask that question, so I did away with the question of are you depressed, because in our setup it kind of like, people feel that when somebody asks you that, it's kind of like you stigmatizing them. So I did away with that question. So the question was, are there certain things in life that you used to enjoy doing that you're kind of like slowly losing that enjoyment in doing that?
Oh yeah.
All right. So then from there, a lot of the people that have come in start to open up. All right. You know, so you have difficulties grooming, for example.
Oh yeah.
You know, you have difficulties meeting up with friends, just even going to the shop to buy stuff. You know, you want to be alone. You feel like things are really annoying you. You know, that's kind of like starting to...
Yeah, you're starting to lose yourself.
To kind of like get into that depressive state. And you know, depression is like a black dog. There's a video on YouTube, you can go watch it. It's called The Black Dog. It explains clearly how depression is kind of like something that's always lacking in the picture, that tries to take control of your life, and it keeps growing. It keeps growing, all right?
So can we classify depression, somebody who's going through depression and anxiety, or is anxiety and depression two different states of mental health?
they go together.
They go together.
A lot of times you can be anxious. It's a normal process for human beings to apprehend situations, right?
Yeah.
You know, trauma. You're anxious. Oh my God, I just got a new job. Then you get anxious about that. Oh my God, I lost my job. You get anxious about that, right? Yeah. So it's a normal problem. It's a normal day-to-day presentation. But if it becomes that you're constantly anxious about everything, you know, then it starts to become like, then we start to question, what are some of the triggers of you being anxious at everything that comes at you, all right? So then we start to seek help when all of these, you know, small factors start to build up. You know, if you take a yes in, no, I don't enjoy doing stuff I used to enjoy anymore. If you take a yes on, I don't want to be social with other human beings anymore, even people that you really love or people that are really close to you.
Yeah.
If you take, like, you know, I don't groom, you know, I'm not excited about life, you know, what is the reason as to why I'm here? You know, when those questions become a constant, then we start looking at, you probably need somebody to talk to. All right. And when you're getting to depression then you start using, people tend to start using substances to kind of, like, you know, drug, alcohol.
Yeah.
For example, you know, those blue pills that I see the youth take these days.
Oh,
all right.
Yeah. The youth right now, actually, from a very young age, as early as 15, have already started getting into drugs to forget about their problems. You'll find a very young guy, very drunk, and I don't know, it's sad. It's sad because even here in our country, I don't think mental health is taken seriously. And when we're talking about getting into substances, do you get a lot of cases of young people who actually, you know, go deep into the substance and forget about their well-being themselves? They just forget about who they are.
Yeah, you know, the moment you become dependent on something else for you to survive, then it becomes a part and parcel of yourself, all right? And you know, drugs are designed to make you feel a certain type of way, but that is not the normal condition of how the human body works, right? So if you get deeper into consuming alcohol to make you feel a certain type of way, then all you are going to be thinking about is, I need to have that for me to be this person or feel this way, all right? And then it becomes addictive, and we know the effects of drugs on the human system. Even food, you know, food can be used as a drug, right? It's a drug in itself.
Oh yeah, speaking of food, I know there are some people who stress eat. When they're stressed, when they're depressed, they just eat.
Yeah, so those, that when you start to feel that I'm becoming dependent on a substance for me to go or survive or go through my day-to-day activities, then you need to start seeking for help. I know in Kenya there's not a lot of avenues at workplaces or in our home environments where you're provided with some sort of support or the freedom to say, I'm actually mentally disturbed, right?
Yeah.
Or there's certain things there's what we call, well, let me speak about some of the causes of mental health issues.
Okay.
And we call them the social determinants of health or social determinants of mental health. All right? Environments in which you live in, all right? Your social income, all right?
Yeah.
Your income determines, or even your parents' income determine how your mental health state is going to be. Accessibility to different amenities, all right? Political environment, all right?
Yeah.
The school environment. All of these factors add up to your mental health state. And I mentioned earlier in our conversations, there's the early childhood experiences. All of those factors. Education contributes to your mental health state. So if you're poor, and if you come from a poor environment, you know, your access to nutrition, your access to proper education, your access to amenities that provide physical playgrounds. It becomes limited. These factors, we may not see them as
very important
contributors to our mental health state, but they play a very big role in how we become as a person. All right.
Yeah.
So if we lived in environments where there's access to hospitals, there's access to food, there's access to education, there's access to where you can report, you know, problems without really being stigmatized about a problem. If you can report a rape case very easily without being judged as a woman, and that's how you dressed. You're the reason as to why you got molested, right? So if we have environments that are safe for us, then our mental health state is going to be at a balance, because you never really say that I'm a happy person. This is me not having mental health issues, and this is me having really bad mental health issues. It's usually like a spectrum and a balance. So sometimes we are here, sometimes we are almost here. But before we get here, we need to address all of these problems that are going to make you get to that mental health state.
Yeah, bringing you back to the conversation we had about substance. Some people believe that, let's talk about marijuana. I've heard that clinically it's proven that it's good to calm down anxiety and some mental health state. What can you say about that? Because I've realized a lot of the youths right now, the youngies, are going deep in the herb, because they believe like the herb calms them down, the herb makes them, you know what I'm saying, yeah? So yeah, tell us. Let's talk about marijuana as a clinically drug that helps people reduce their mental, you know.
Well, I won't advocate, for people to use the narrative that weed kind of improves my mental health state, right? Because it's a drug.
Yeah, it's a drug.
Right? Unless it is prescribed medically, because we have medical, we call it CBD oils, cannabis.
In Kenya, do we have prescribed?
No, in Kenya, I haven't really seen it being used so much into the medical space.
Yeah.
But it is in existence in other countries where a doctor actually prescribes, because it helps with Parkinson's disease, it helps with pain reduction in cancer patients. There are certain articles that tend to support the use of it, but if you look at those articles, this is not weed that people smoke. It's
like
not the weed
it's purified, like.
Yes, it's gone through the process. Like there's the pharmaceutical board that kind of like looks at the substance in weed that might help you in reducing the shaking in Parkinsonism, pain in cancer patients, there's a process that it needs to undergo.
But the same weed, I think it also gives some people anxiety. Probably you smoke it and we're seated here and I'll be like, well, hey, I think Martin is plotting something against me. Or I'll be like, has this person poisoned my food? Like, does it like trigger the brain like to another state of mind that is not norm?
Like alcohol, yes, it does. So weed taps on certain hormones, or rather proteins within the brain that tend to trigger certain feelings.
Anxiety.
Right?
Anxiety.
You become a lot more aware of your environment, all right? But your judgment of your awareness to the environment is impaired, all right? So yeah, you become aware. You're like. And to some people, it makes them go to sleep. To some people, it relaxes them.
Some people, they laugh crazy.
Yeah.
I've been in a situation whereby I'm seated with somebody and they're just laughing, and I'm like, is this person normal? What's their problem? And so I think to some people, it's therapeutic too.
It is. I cannot refuse that there's an element to therapy to it.
Yeah.
But I cannot say, I don't want people to go using this YouTube, that section where Martin said that we need to use cannabis to address our mental health.
Guys, we are not saying smoke weed. We are just going into details about what people think about marijuana, because we know this is a topic that people have been trying to defend and fight for over time.
Yeah.
And so
and it's illegal in Kenya.
Yeah. Marijuana is illegal, guys. Illegal. Yeah, so now we've covered how to prevent mental awareness. We've covered there's a topic that I really want us to touch, and this is a suicide topic.
Yeah.
You'll tell and you'll tend to know that this person actually, it was not just a one-day decision that they woke up today and said, hey, I want to kill myself today. Yeah. It's something that they've been dealing with like every day, something that they've been contemplating and thinking that I'm tired with life, I'm tired with life, I'm tired with life.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Can you actually identify if somebody is suicidal? Can you identify a suicidal person? How can you?
That's a very difficult question to answer, all right?
Yeah.
But it's a very good question to raise.
Yeah.
If I ask you, can you identify a depressed person? Very difficult.
I think I can.
It is very difficult because people, if you look at the history of people who've died because of suicide.
Yeah.
Most of them are comedians. There seem to be happy people.
Oh yeah.
Right? There seem to be people who are, why will that person?
Yeah.
Who was successful,
Because even most of the suicide cases, if you even hear what people talk about it after, the people who are involved with the person, they're like, why would they do it? They were okay, they were happy. Yesterday we were together, we were laughing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a hard question, actually. I agree with you. But are there some characteristics? Because personally, I believe if I know you very well, Martin, I'll know that you're a joyful person. I'll know that, but there's a certain way you'll start behaving, I'll feel it's off.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
A lot of times is I tend to move away to saying that I know who that person is. Human beings are the most difficult people to say.
Unpredictable.
Yeah, I know Martin. You see the way mothers in the hood where we grew up. I knew my son cannot be a thief.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So you cannot claim that I know somebody really well unless you ask them, how are you feeling today, all right? Because a lot of times people with suicidal ideations tend to talk about it. They say, they usually, like in their conversations, you'll hear, I feel like, what is the use of me being on this planet? I feel like I'm a burden to other people, I'm a burden to the system, I'm a burden to the society, but I'm also, like, it will be better if I was non-existent, all right?
Yeah.
So it's difficult to say that you can see somebody who has suicidal thoughts unless they say it, and if they say it, kindly take it seriously. Anyone who says, but they mean that's not, in Kenya people take it as a joke. Unataka nikusaidie na kamba. Unataka nikusaidie na sijui nini.
Yeah. Kenyans.
Yeah, you get.
Unaambiwa
endo umeze sijui nini jik.
Ama ruka 5th floor.
Ruka kutoka 5th floor. As in usiende 2nd floor unaweza survive. You get. Those conversations should be taken very seriously. But as I mentioned earlier, is and if we are not communicating, if we don't live together, if we don't tend to care for another human being, then it's the next thought is I'm in this alone. And I had mentioned earlier it's just questioning, finding out how your friend is doing. How are you doing?
Yeah.
And if you ask me how I'm doing, I'll say I'm okay. And then I'll ask, how are you really doing? How are you feeling? So then I'll start asking questions like the same questions that I asked you earlier. Do you feel like you're not enjoying certain things in life that you used to? You get, you're not grooming. You're staying away from social environments. You tend to pick some of those things in people. All right. Yeah. So maybe you can observe if it's somebody who's your friend that has gone MIA. All right?
Yeah.
But it's those questions, those little questions of how are you feeling today? I've not been seeing you in a while. Are you okay? All right? But in our environments, those are not, even in work environments, rarely will you find in Africa your boss asking you, how are you doing? Do you need some time off? You get?
So. Yeah, and there's this thing about young love, young stereo love. Yeah. You'll find like our young people don't know how to deal with rejection. For instance, Martin umekam, unanikatia, and I'm like, no, you're not my type, or no, I'm not ready. Then you'll see a person will go, take a rope, hang themselves, and people will be like, hiyo ni ujinga. Huyo kifo yake ni ya kujitakia. You know, let's talk about rejection, because a lot of people don't know how to handle rejection, be it relationship rejection, be it family rejection, be it society rejection. Let's talk about rejection, because I also believe rejection plays a big role in our mental health, right?
Yeah, true. No human being likes to be rejected, right?
Yeah.
We tend to, it takes a lot of energy to pursue something, all right?
Yeah.
To the extent where I tried this and it failed, okay?
Yeah.
But it also involves, there's a lot of factors that come into play with rejection. How well educated are you? What's the level of education? What are your childhood experiences? Again, I'll go back to that. Because if you're used to rejection, and then you see something that this is probably the opening that I have, or this is the person that I feel is going to understand me better.
Yeah.
You know, my parents, my dad, everybody around me doesn't know me.
Yeah, but
this person does.
Yeah.
And then boom, you hear that, no, it's not happening.
No?
So you get, and that is, it takes a toll on you. It's like going through grief and bereavement, all right? So when somebody dies, you know, there's shock, there's disbelief, there's that process of, this somebody has actually
left. They're no more.
They're no more, right? So it's a journey that you go through, and some people go through that journey pretty quickly. Some people take a longer period of time. Some people are actually going to need help in surviving that. It's the same way as rejection.
Yeah.
You get.
Yeah.
So there's the element of disbelief, there's the element of shock, there's the element of grieving, and then there's the element of I'm going to bounce right back. I'm going to find somebody else.
Yeah.
Rather than this person.
So do you think those people who actually commit suicide because somebody rejected them, a relationship, do you think also there was an obsession, obsession connected to that?
There's a lot of factors that come into play when somebody decides that they want to take their life through suicide.
Yeah.
It is a lot. It's not usually one thing. It's not usually one thing. It's a process. They take quite a long period of time. If you've had anxiety and depression before, you can have it again. And a lot of times, if you look at the statistics, people who've had like a previous experience of anxiety, depression, clinical depression, if they experience it again, then they'll start, if it's not addressed, then they'll start having suicidal ideations.
Okay.
All right? But some people are going to communicate, some people are not going to communicate. So it's up to those around us, you know, friends, family, you know, to kind of like try to bring each other up or try to help. I noticed a difference in your behavior. Why shouldn't I find out about what's different? Then those are some of the ways in which you can address it. But also, people need to be provided for an avenue where they can see a clinical specialist who's well trained to address mental health issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So to my audience, I want to tell you something. You know, every day you come across people, and behind every smile, there's a very broken heart. People out here are broken not only because of financial, people are going through rejection, people are going through a lot, their work, they're going through a lot of challenges. So just be kind. I'll just urge you to be kind. Be kind to people. Get to know what's up with them. And at least even if somebody approaches you and you don't maybe intend to be with them, do it cautiously and diligently, you know. And again, I myself as Miss Donzo, I would rather listen to your story the whole day than come to your funeral. It's so sad. Speak. My brothers out there, speak. This theory of mwanaume ajikaze, we should just get it over and done with. I believe we should get over and done with, and people should just speak. So as we wind up the show, I want to say thank you very much, Martin. At least today I've learned about ADHD and about, what else did we talk about? About mental health, the state, how we can prevent it. And I'm sure the audience watching this today have gotten one or two things. And probably somebody there is asking, how can I get to you, Martin? Probably you can tell us your social pages, and if you're comfortable to share your number. Yeah.
All right. I hope that, you know, I like what you said, you know, just be kind to another human.
Yeah.
You never really know what they're going through.
Yeah.
And, you know, take some time to listen to the other person. But, you know, mental health issues, depression, anxiety, those are things that can be treated.
Yeah.
So, you know, before you take away your life, you know, try to seek help. All right, and there are people that you can reach, to, that can provide that help for you.
Yeah.
Well, and if you want to reach out to me, you can find me on Twitter as the Kenyan Physio. So you simply type Kenyan Physio and I'll be there. On Instagram as well as Kenyan Physio. I'm more active when it comes to clinical questions on Twitter rather than on Instagram. And my number is 0721 50 38 30, and I'll say that again, 0721 50 38 30. You can reach out to me with questions that you have, but also we have a clinic in Westlands on Lantana Road, just opposite the Azua building. All right, so it's called Afya Africa Orthopedic Services, and you're welcome to the clinic.
Yeah, so guys, you're welcome. Before I finish, Martin, what advice would you give to the youth? Like, by the youth, I mean like from the 16 to the 20, what advice, like what life hack would you give them?
Yeah, that's a difficult question, but I guess just try to find out what brings more meaning to your life. Physical activity, sports, exercise, those are very, I feel like the youth should always find a sport that they enjoy playing. A hobby, all right?
Yeah.
And make sure that there's physical activity attached to it, all right? You know, if it's art, just simply find something that is meaningful, but is also providing you an avenue to interact with other human beings, because you never really know what can come out of an interaction with another human
being. Wow.
Right? So that's the advice I can give.
Wow. Thank you. And if I was to add on an advice, I would advise our youngies to just be yourself. Stop pretending to be somebody that you're not. Be happy with who you are. Be contented with who you are. And I think being yourself is going to take you away from a lot of mental things and bring you to where you actually are intended to be. It will bring you to your purpose. So wow guys, so today I've actually learned a lot. I don't know about you, but I have learned a lot, and now I know that how to deal with my mental health awareness and all that. So guys at home, this is, again, I'm coming to you again to urge you, speak up, let's love one another, we heal the world, we make it a better place, and let's learn to accept mental health. Guys, once again, I will urge you, please support your girl. Go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, share it with a friend, and tell a friend that Team Generation Sour is here and is going to the world. Bye.